In the land of hockey where legends dwell, there's a podcast that's become a delightful spell. Got your back with Rishaug and Strudwick, you see, a show that'll tickle your funny bone with glee. Rishaug, the analyst with facts and stats, Struds, a former player with stories and chats. Together they create a comedic storm, sharing their insights in their unique form. From locker room mishaps to outrageous bets, they'll make you laugh until you have no regrets. Hockey tales that are weird, wild, and bold, a podcast that is worth its weight in gold. So strap on your skates and give it a whirl. This podcast is a hilarious twirl. Rishaug and Strudwick will make you crack with their puckish charm on Got Your Back. Welcome to Got Your Back live stream edition, folks. I'm not a poet like Terry Ryan, who, by the way, is on the pod. There he is. What's going on, TR?
Good to be with you guys. I'm just hanging in St. John's, Newfoundland, getting ready for the weekend.
Nice. Struddy, how you doing, my man? The three of us, the bandits, back together again.
It's nice to have the whole team together. I've missed you while you're making up Shoresy. TR. How's that going?
Oh, I've really missed you guys. How do we finished season 2 and it comes out in the fall, and it was a lot of fun. I can't give away too much, but it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome, buddy. So, guys, I started with a poem. Not because I want to come across as a poet, but because, have you guys mucked around with ChatGPT yet? Have you done any of this yet? TR, do you even know what I'm talking about? Do they have it on Newfoundland yet?
I think I know what you mean. Like the
AI.
The AI writing. You write short stories and poems and stuff. No, I think that's absolutely terrible. I think it's the worst possible thing.
I know.
It's bad. Bad news.
You're going to be annoyed at me today because I got playing around with this thing and all the things that this can do. Now, that poem I wrote off the top, Struddy, all I did was tap into this into this app, write a humorous poem about Got Your Back podcast, and it completely out of scratch, out of nowhere, dropped that poem. It's ridiculous, the technology and what these things can do.
And if this is the story.
No, go ahead, buddy.
No, I cut you off. He said, Struds, you go first, man.
No, I just got, someone brought it to my attention about 6 weeks ago, and I've just been blown away by it. I've tapped a couple things in there, and it's actually scary because it writes anything better than I can at my best.
Yeah.
I find it scary. There's so many people. Look, I'm getting serious here now, man. I went through mine, and I got lucky. I had a book out, but I get a double major in folklore and English, right? So I went through and I saw a lot of people that were writers that were really good at what they did, better than me. I happen to have a good platform and I'm a decent writer. I learned in there. It was a lot of trial by error, and but a lot of people are so naturally talented, and they'll write and no one pays attention. They find it hard to make a living. The things that a lot of artists do, the creativity is what they have, and they don't make much. They're only eating craft dinner on what they got so far. Now you're going to take some of that creativity away because you're going to balance it with people that never read a book in their lives. Now they're writing, and they could lie and said lying, that's beyond what I'm talking about. But I just mean, I don't think that tool is useful.
To replace creativity.
I just don't. A lot of people disagree with me. Yeah. Like, why can't everybody do this? But what if there was some program in 10 years from now, guys, that you can put on robot skates and be a hockey player and everybody's McDavid? I'm not saying I'm a great writer. I'm not putting myself in that category, but it take a lot. I'm not great, but I got some musings out there that people buy, and I work my hardest at it. The people that I went through that hone their craft, the great writers, the musicians. Well, same thing with music, with auto-tone.
Yeah, for sure. And I totally hear your passion because you're a creative guy and you're a writer. I've played around with it here. It can scratch the surface creatively and with humor, but it can't get, from what I've seen, it's pretty surface stuff, right? It's not anywhere near the depth of what a creative writer can do. So
we're a month in.
Well, fair point by you. So I asked it to write a creative or a humorous limerick about Terry Ryan. And this is what it spit out at me. There once was a player named Terry whose skills on the ice were quite scary. He'd glide with such grace, but trip on his lace and end up in a frozen comical flurry. So, somewhat accurate, but not that funny. There's only so much you can do.
No, But if you're an idiot and you sit there all day and just put in and type in words, at some point it's going to come back to you that it's not that serious, and you can mix and match. Now you don't have to be creative. You can just type in here, I want a skeleton of a great poem. Now, by 12 o'clock tonight, I'll have Shakespeare for you. That shouldn't be the way it is.
I know, buddy. I hear you, but Struddy, it's coming. Like, this is one of those things. Like, Terry, right now, you're a guy that's fighting against the internet back in 1977, being like, nope, we gotta find a way to, like, this is here. And I don't mean to take us way off hockey topic here, but man, I was playing with this thing today, Struds. Like, it's mind numbing.
It is. And the more, like I said, about 6 weeks ago, someone brought like AI and kind of where it's at. And now everywhere I go, you can't miss it, right? You see it at the airports, you see it everywhere. Like, just, it's pretty crazy. And it's really come onto my radar, like I said, the last month.
I was going to have some fun with it today, but TR, we've tapped into some passion here. I don't want to insult you by using too much AI on the podcast today.
I'm really sorry it does, though. I just see people, look, I got lucky with creative arts. I see a lot of people that aren't, and it upsets me. That's all. This new stuff upsets me.
Hey man, no, it's all good. I totally appreciate your passion. It's here, and it's here to stay. And I think figuring out a way to harness it is probably smart, but I don't think it's going to replace straight up creativity and character. And, at the heart of what you do and what you're best at, TR, that's not going to be duplicated.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know though, man. I don't know.
Well, I'll give you something.
Okay.
At the beginning of my podcast, I always introduce the guests with a few rhymes. I take pride in that. It's not
way better than that crap I just read.
No, but right now it's 6 weeks in. Robots learn fast. My God, cars, we had a horse and buggy. My great grandmother was in a horse and buggy. By the time she's 70, people are walking on the moon. Okay. So this, I know it's new, but I'm telling you, I only have silly rhymes. I'm just saying now, even there, I don't want to be credited for it. It's only a little joke, but that's what I do at the beginning of my podcast. It takes me an hour to do that stuff up. Now, when people listen, they're going to go, oh, that's cool. He just did. He's a hockey player. I'm sure he just used computer. It shouldn't even be an option. I don't even like talking about it.
Struds, do you think maybe one day AI will help you and I with our hairlines on our podcast? Because if it can do that, it can do a little filler in and around this region.
I think my hair it stopped. The recession stopped, but I think AI won't stop coming. It's coming, and it won't stop.
Receding is one thing, thinning is another. They're both evil beasts, and you and I are in a fist fight against both of them.
No.
And Father Time stops for none.
I'm not thinning. I am not thinning. Let's just be clear. Yeah, you have nice hair, TR. I'm not thinning, Shogger. One of us is thinning. I'm not thinning. I have receded. And now it's stopped. The recession stopped. Let's be clear. I don't want to. Let's not start talking monkey bum.
Thinning. It's so.
We're not swapping monkey bum stories here, buddy.
There's denial. Okay. We do plan on talking some hockey today, folks. But I mean, let's be honest. It's the off season here, so we're kind of off the rails, and I think it's okay to get a little off the rails. The podcast, though, I forgot to read the opening. Brought to you by our good friends at Mr. Dirk. I was just in the store the other day, guys. Had a visit with Sterling. And I got to look at some of the new product that they have in. Always have fresh stuff coming in. So if you're looking for a new suit to round out your wardrobe or some casual clothes as well, Mr. Dirk is an awesome one-stop shop for all of those things. In our breakdown segment today, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products, Struds, I want to dive into the off season. And, how much of a difference an off season can make for a player. If you make good decisions, if you make bad decisions, when to get started, how long you give yourself off. I don't know what your guys' approach was back in the day to the off season. I don't know, TR, maybe we'll start with you. What did Terry Ryan take for an approach to the off season back in the day? And how different do you think that is from, I don't know, today's Terry Ryan?
It would be quite a bit different. I don't regret. I was willing to do whatever. But I really enjoyed time off, and that's becoming less and less of a thing. I've heard Bobby Orr and Wayne Gretzky quoted that they think, you should take some time off, maybe even another sport. For me, my dad is actually, we were just talking about it here on my podcast, Tales with TR, with my father. He's in the Baseball Hall of Fame around here. He's got like a load of he was picked for Team Canada when he was 15 years old. So dad was really into baseball. So I looked forward to it as much or more than hockey because they were just two sports to me. I would, you start realizing that hockey might give you another opportunity. It changes. But I didn't like going on in like May and June and July. Now I know it's a thing. My approach was run, a lot of plyometrics. Um, I loved playing other sports, baseball, sometimes soccer, but that could be a bit risky with the ankles. But I stayed real active, but at least 2 months I didn't put on my skates.
Mhm. Yeah, it's changed a lot, right? So now guys are skating nearly, and I'll talk mostly about NHL players or pro players. They're almost skating year round. But I think that it doesn't. Even back then, when I was playing, I would finish my year, and then right away I'd kind of debrief myself. What went well, what went wrong, what I need to do to get better, what areas I like to work on. That I'd seek out help. And I remember at one point I felt that my legs weren't powerful enough, so I found a guy who was a sprinting coach, and I started working out with him, and I found it really helped my explosiveness, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think for today, for today's athletes, especially if you're not improving the off season, you're probably getting caught by others, and that's a scary feeling. And I know towards the end of my career, you could feel that not only was I being caught, I think at a couple of points I've been lapped. So and it's not from a lack of effort, you're trying, but so you have to have a purpose. I think every off season goes with a purpose. I would hardly take any time off. I'd stay active. I love to swim. I wasn't a great swimmer, but I like to swim. So I'd swim a lot, do a lot of yoga, heal the body, try to get it ready to build off of. Because if you had like a sprained ankle or something or whatever that wasn't ready to train, it wasn't worth it. So have a plan, get healthy, stay active, and then get going and kind of hit that plan, because the summer goes fast. Even if you're not a playoff guy, you're out mid-April. Let's say you start, early May, and then you're healthy by end of May, and you start June 1st, really going into it. That's 3 months. Then bang, season starts. So it's fast, guys. It's really fast.
We just Shogger's frozen here, fellas.
Oh, Shoggy's out, eh?
He's going to come in on the phone, I think.
Yeah. Well, you think about him. I'm not sure how much he worked out. Let's be honest. Let's call it what it is.
Apparently got his rotary phone from 1982 there.
Okay, Ryan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here on the phone now.
We work fast here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. You got me back in, buddy? Sorry, I thought my frame froze there, and then but you can hear me okay?
Oh, we got you.
I got you.
Oh, yeah. Sounds like we're dealing with a little bit of a delay, too. So sorry, folks. We're dealing with a live stream here, and sometimes there can be some technical issues. What was it like, you guys, when you would go back to training camp and somebody walked through the door who had very clearly put the time in? Maybe a guy that wasn't known for it. Maybe it was a guy that wasn't necessarily thought of that way. We've seen it a few times over the years. But you have stories about a guy walking through the door and everybody going, oh, somebody figured this out.
I do, and you guys know exactly who I'm talking about. He was a Kamloops Blazer, and he played a lot of years in the NHL, and he was a little bit tougher in the NHL than in the WHL, I tell you that. You know who I'm talking about?
Who's that? Chris Murray?
Chris Murray?
No, Chris Murray would be a good, but Murray was always pretty. Darcy Tucker, man. Darcy Tucker
sure.
came in. He was a pest in junior. He wasn't scared of anything, but he was slight. I remember he was slight. Like I don't want to say easy, but you could kind of push him off the puck. He was good in other areas. And I got called up to Freddie when I was 18, and he'd already made the jump. And I think his first year in the A, I think he had 91 or 92 points. I remember he wasn't being held back. And the next year he came back. He said, I got all these points. I deserve a chance. I'm not going to give them any reason. And he put on about 15 or 20 pounds. He was real ready. He's probably the biggest metamorphosis that I've ever seen as a player.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'll go the other way. I remember a guy, and I don't want to throw him under the bus. I won't use his name, but we all get there for training camp, and we're doing the Islanders this year. They decided we're going to do our VR2 on a treadmill instead of a bike. So, and I've been running a lot, so I loved it. I was like, let's just run. There's no problem. And this guy, I Stevens took his shirt off. I'm like, oh man, bud, something went sideways here. And he went on there and he just got slaughtered. He was like a 50-year-old man, could barely run, could do anything. And then he afterwards, because back then they used to just give you a standard program. You had to just do this program and whatever. And he's trying to tell us all, and the GM and the coach and everyone, that he followed this to a T. And I'm like, there is no chance. Even then, I was young. I was maybe like 22, 23. Barely, actually, 21, 22. And I was like, I was calling him out like, that's bullshit, man. You didn't do anything. Just say it. Just be honest and say you didn't do anything all summer. And he was losing it. He wanted to fight me. And I'm like, well, don't, like, we're not idiots. We all worked out. You didn't work out. Like, don't make us like idiots. So in the end, he got absolutely abused. He had a workout before our skates. He did all the skates. We have 3 skates because there's 3 groups, and then he'd work out after. They killed this guy. They killed this poor guy. And it took him till Christmas, but to his credit, he did get in shape.
Interesting.
Man.
What's
TR, how about guys that, sorry, we're dealing with a bit of a delay, guys, so we'll be talking over each other a little bit. TR, how about the guy that never had to work out and was still just flipping awesome for some reason? We probably all played with that guy where you're just like, what the heck? Are you serious? A guy that didn't have to put the time in that everybody else did and still have those natural skills, right? And I'm not body shaming anybody here or anything, but I mean, I think we all know that Phil Kessel's off-season training regimen is probably a little different than some. And he's that guy. Like, how does that happen, and how is that fair, and how is he viewed by all the guys that got to grind so hard?
Well, I'll tell you, for me, in the NHL, I could say Saku Koivu. I remember him talking about that, but I saw him work hard. I'm telling you this. So what I'm saying is that Saku would say, Oh, we good?
Sorry, hang up the phone there.
Some weird stuff with the audio there. Go ahead, TR.
Well, Saku would maybe be humble about how much he worked out, but I saw it with my own eyes. I'm serious, guys. I don't want to throw him under the bus because his career is long over. But Damon Lankow was ripped. When he moved, when he did this, you could see it was like 1,000 muscles. He was like a specimen at a university science lab. It was wild. And when I say Lanks did nothing, I mean, he did zero. He didn't know what a bench press was. We would be going on the ice. He'd be eating the last part of a Big Mac before warm-up. I mean, nothing. Not only did he do nothing, it was terrible preparation dietary-wise. He got his sleep. He wasn't a party animal. Lanks just liked to have his stereo, his loud music, and his McDonald's or whatever. Now, I'm guessing he got to the NHL. That must have changed. But I'm telling you, it was the best hockey body that I've ever seen, with literally the least preparation put into it. And anybody listening to this that played with me in around that time in the mid-90s in Tri-City would have to agree with me.
I used to see him around Sherwood Park all the time. I mean, I was a Sherwood Park guy, and he was always known as like, that dude is ripped. Like, when you're younger, and you got that one older guy that's just, he's just a little bit older, but you're like, man, that guy's in incredible shape. It's funny to hear you say that, Struds. I know you knew him too, but did you know that guy that was just had that and for whatever reason didn't have to put in that same work?
Yeah, I think that Lanks is definitely one, because I remember I golfed him a couple times and he'd drink like 5 beers and I would be eating nothing, just trying to get to stay in shape. Yeah. But I think it's incredible is you have to remember that when you're talking about, professional athletes, you're talking about like already the top 0.2% of the world, like athletic bodies and genes and stuff. And then when you put someone on top who's just a genetic freak, who's that much more freaky than those top people, it's mind blowing. So a guy I think of is Ed Jovanovski, and I think Eddie, he worked out pretty hard, but he could have been anything. I mean, we played basketball. He was a good basketball player. We played football. He could throw the ball, over a mountain. Golf, he was amazing. Like, he was just good at everything, right? And he just happened to settle on playing hockey. And I was always blown away by that. And again, you have to remember, these are all like highly trained guys that have been playing, sports all their life, and they're the best of the best athletically. And then you have guys that stand out on top of them. Like, and that's why I think I look at a guy like, I think of Bo Jackson, and just the athleticism that guy had, and how, even his buddy, his people you play against, you're like, this guy is a genetic freak. And that's always freaky to me when I hear guys that are already kind of at that top end say about other guys are just freaks. And Eddie Jovanovski for me was that. He was so freaky, could do anything.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys this. If you were to take that guy who naturally has it, but doesn't necessarily have the craziest work ethic because he hasn't had to, is it an automatic that if you took, say, I don't know, Rod Brindamore's workout regimen back in the day, and Phil Kessel did it for an off season, Is it automatic that he comes back better, that he comes back at a whole new level? Are players that don't maximize it definitely leaving a lot on the table? Or is it just, it doesn't necessarily guarantee the results that you might think it would?
Struds, do you want to take this first so we can go back into regular order? I mean, I'm the guest here.
Yeah, no problem. No, sure. I'll
No
jump in
order
there.
here, guys.
Yeah, no,
It's
there
free
isn't.
for all.
There's no. But I would say that, I think that at some point in your career, it makes a difference. Longevity. If you want longevity, I think you have to be really almost a slave to your craft, right? That's everything. TR talked a bit about the way you eat, the way you sleep, the way you manage your energy, the way you work out, all that stuff. So I'm not. When you're younger, I think you can get away with it. And as an example, I was known to have a pretty good time, around 23, 24, 19, 20, 21. And then as I got to 25, 26, I'm like, okay, I got to dial this back here. Like, this doesn't work for me anymore. Right. Like, and not that I was that old, but, and then I found my energy. Like, it was amazing to wake up, you go out, instead of going out Saturday night, being just a bag of turtles all day Sunday, then trying to practice Monday. Sunday would actually be a good day. I could go do yoga, I'd feel good, eat good, then come into practice to be so energized. I'm like, man, this actually makes a difference. So I think longevity wise, TR, it does make a difference if you don't push yourself and kind of take full advantage of everything that is offered in the, to be in shape.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've often wondered this, guys. This is a ponderable for me because I know to some level everybody's different, right? Like, clearly Phil Kessel, you keep saying that, but I've played Aaron Asham there. So there's guys that they know their bodies, and sometimes that can go, that's a slippery slope. But earlier on, I mean, who knows? I'd love to know if Phil Kessel or Aaron Asham or someone that maybe had a little bit of weight on and was known to, lazy is not the word, but for hockey, some people go hard. There's Gary Roberts, and then there's other people. So, but it got to play a part now, or not now, but as you get older, and you're entering your 30s, or so. I think there's something to be said for it. I don't know where the answer lies, because these guys, like, who am I to say to Aaron Asham, who played 12 years in the NHL at a high level and was really, like, Aaron knows his body, and he always did well on the VO2. So there was some kind of gift that he had. But there's also something I'm really curious, and I look at baseball and I look at these guys like, I don't know, Giancarlo Stanton, and they're built like Greek gods. And they, last year he got injured once swinging. It literally said injured. He's on the IL. Swinging.
Yeah.
Now we got a problem. If you're a Greek god and you're hurt yourself swinging, and another one was running to first, and I wonder who's middle ground. And Vladdy Guerrero, maybe. He's a big guy. He trains, but he's a little bit of girth. I really don't know, but I find baseball fascinating with these guys, because it's not like they're getting hit. I know it's a physical game in some ways, but you look at this person that's the epitome of a specimen of an athlete.
Who I think of that way, TR? Sorry to interrupt you, but
you're not
Struds, the guy I think about, I don't want to disrespect him at all, because he worked as harder than anybody, but Ethan Morrow was one of those guys that was just, he worked with his brother Chad. Like, Ethan was just in incredible shape, and he put a ton of work into it, but he was that lean, ripped, sort of that really super athletic looking build, but he did struggle with injuries more throughout his career than maybe, and then juxtapose that and you look at Dustin Penner, right, who is that more robust guy who at different stages of in his career put in different sort of levels of work, but at the end of the day he was a guy that was probably able to stay more healthy. I don't know if there's a direct line there, Struds. What do you think between the guy that's like could be on the cover of magazines, and Ethan was, versus the guy that's like, probably a little insulation there?
Okay, hold on. So Ethan Morrow would come to camp in really good shape, and I love Ethan. He's a great guy, and I always refer to him as the guy the towel guy. You could tell where the season was, how he was feeling based on the towel. So when he came in, you're right, he was shredded. His towel would it'd be about 3 inches below his navel, because he wanted to show off the six pack. And then all of a sudden, the year 2-3 months, it'd go up a little bit higher, right? A little bit higher. And then slowly it started creeping up. By the end of the season, it was down underneath his nipples, because he wasn't quite as tight dietary constraints as others. So I noticed that in my first year. I'm like, whoa, this guy, and my towel never moved. It was always 4 inches below my navel. But
Listen to this guy.
But no, I think you guys are onto something. I think that if you're wound up so tight, you are kind of predisposed to injuries. But then I think there's just some athletes that are just predisposed to injuries. And like if you block a shot breaking your hand, or you break your hand blocking a shot, there's nothing you can do. But if it's muscular, I think that if there's like always groins or always back or something, I wonder if there's not something you can do, or could have been done when you were younger.
Wow. Where's your towel these days, TR?
Oh, I never had a great body. I didn't think of it like that. I worked for the VO2. Like I always tested myself that way. I had a bit of flubber always, but not, I don't know what you want to call it, baby fat looking stuff. It wasn't great to look at, but I made sure I was in shape. I knew, like I said, the VO2, the Wingate, that's what it was all about.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
A lot of it was for me, it was that, pull-ups and bench press. That's what it seemed to be the most important. I know it's evolved, but no, I was never a guy with a great body.
I had a lot of respect for you though, because on that first season of Shoresy, buddy, I mean, that promo shot, you were full topless in that promo shot in that first season of Shoresy. Well, you had nothing.
Well, no. That's after ice hockey, I get into ball hockey, and my like staying weight ended up going down to like 190 from about 200.
Ball hockey, yeah.
Because of ball hockey. So then, I went up there. But to be honest with you, one thing I can say about season 2 is that I was asked to, I had to work out for 6 months hard. I got a trainer. I've never worked out like that. I've never worked out for muscle. I used to find part of my thing was I had to fight these big guys, and I couldn't be too slight. I just couldn't be too slight. I would notice it. So, but I didn't like being like where I am now, like 215 either. There was somewhere in the middle, but he asked us to do that for the show for some reasons. You'll see that's kind of worked into the plot. I won't give anything from there. And I almost feel uncomfortable when I played, and I'm skating a lot now and everything. So I feel myself out there. I know I'm a lot older, but when I played, I would notice it on the ice with the cardio more than anything. I didn't care what I looked like, but the cardio was big. And if you're a forward that's supposed to work hard and go both ends of the ice and you're bagged after 2 shifts, something's wrong. So
Struds, I know you got to run, buddy, but I'll ask you this. We'll bring it back around to the Oilers here, and then we'll let you go. But of the Oilers heading into the offseason, who do you think could make the biggest impact on their results next season with a really good, focused offseason this year? Who needs? And I'm not saying someone who is out of shape right now. We're not looking to criticize. You know what I mean.
This is the easiest question you've asked me ever on the podcast, and it's Vinny Darnay. And this isn't about Vinny's being conditioned or anything like that. Just Vinny's puck skills. If I were Vinny, I would literally, what have they been out now? About 2 weeks. I would be hitting the ice, let's say June 1st with a skills coach, right? And I would get it very targeted and have goals. What do I need to work on? What do I want to improve? He's a masher, and this isn't about working out or anything like that. This is about improving his puck skills. And I know because I wish I would have had, the foresight to do it, and even just the opportunity maybe to do it. But there are opportunities now to do it. And I would, if I were Vinny, I think in 3 months, he could make massive strides with that, with a very focused program on ice and a bit off ice, like stick handling, stuff like that. But an on ice targeted program, I think it could be huge for him.
Right on, Struddy. Okay, we're going to let you bounce here. By the way, I'm throwing Zuby a major curveball here by like changing the format of the show and this and that. So he might not have like a 2-shot of me and TR prepped. So Zuby, don't worry about it if this looks like hot garbage. Struds, we're going to let you go. You do not have that shot prepped.
No, but I'll start building it now. We'll come up with some as long as we can hear you guys.
Throwing you the curveballs, buddy. Struddy, you can bounce, man. Thanks for doing this. We'll talk real soon. TR, you guys later. For a few more minutes.
See you, TR.
Yeah, no problem. Good to see you, Struds.
All right, see you, pal. And watch his video will just disappear. It'll kind of turn orange. Maybe there'll be a little question mark that pops up there. Anyway, we're doing live streaming here. That was the breakdown. That's brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. Of course, that's my brothers, Rick and Rob. They've got branches in Calgary, and they've got branches in Edmonton here as well. Look at that 2-shot. That was fast, Zuby. Attaboy.
Beautiful.
Just got to change that name there.
Yeah, that's okay. We're going to go to Sherwood Buick GMC right away here. So like I said, we're producing and editing on the fly. But anyways, maintenance-free decking and fencing. It's awesome stuff. No painting, no sanding, no staining, none of that stuff. Easy when it goes in. Looks great for a long time. That is DLR vinyl, fences, and deck. All right, we're going to have one more segment here on the podcast. TR and I are going to hang in. We'll be right back after a quick message here from Weiss Johnson. They got a great event coming up. We wanted to let you in on it because it's a fantastic charity golf tournament, and they are still looking for people to enter. So quick message from Weiss Johnson, then more TR and I when we return. Checking in with Dennis Johnson from our good friends over at Weiss Johnson. Dennis, big event coming up Tuesday, June 6th, the Weiss Johnson Charity Golf Classic. What can you tell me about it, my friend?
Hey, Ryan, thanks. This is our 11th year that we've been doing this for the Edmonton Down Syndrome Society. To date, we've raised almost $360,000 towards Edmonton Down Syndrome Society. So it goes to great causes there to help people with Down syndrome, and it's a place that's close to our hearts. So.
That's absolutely a fantastic event out at the ranch, which is a great track. And I know you have spots available. So to register, visit weiss-johnson.com. And I look forward to seeing you out at the ranch on Tuesday, June 6th. Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you.
All right, we're back up, Zuby.
We're back.
We are back. All right, time now for takeaways, brought to you by Sherwood Buick GMC. Just off Baseline Road on the way into Sherwood Park. Awesome dealership. It's massive. They've got lots of inventory, fantastic vehicles, all different shapes and sizes, trucks, SUVs, cars, whatever you need. I happen to have the Sierra Elevation 1500. It's fantastic. And yes, they are the crazy ones that put Terry Ryan into a sports vehicle for a period of about 3 days over the summer and let him have at it. All over town. You know Phil and the crew pretty well down at Sherwood Buick GMC, Terry. You going to hit him up again because you're coming back to town, aren't you?
I am. I've actually been talking with Phil. I've been texting back and forth. Phil, interestingly, went to his high school. He lived a few years in Kennewick, Washington, in Tri-City. He's the only Canadian I know for non-hockey reasons that ever even brought up the name Kennewick, Washington. It can get lost amongst some beauty cities down there in Washington and Oregon. So we've kept in touch, and he's going to hook me up. And he's coming to the roast of Kevin Lowe on the 9th. We're going to sit down and have a bite and maybe a few beers together.
Yeah, you got to roast K-Lo, hey? That's interesting. We were talking a little bit off air. How well do you know Kevin Lowe to suddenly just show up and start tearing into the soul of the man?
I know. I don't know him. I mean, I've met him. I remember once, he never would remember that when he was playing with the Rangers, one of his last years. And I just remember he had those wonky skates on. And went up and talked and asked him about it. He was taping his stick in Montreal. I was a healthy scratch as whatever. I was up there for the playoffs, I think. But anyway, that's it. I met him and the way, to me, I look up to the guy. So, I mean, again, the obvious hockey stats is that I brief cup of coffee in the NHL and he's got 5 or 6 Stanley Cups.
6, yeah.
So, he's and his name is one of those, it's a godlike name in the sport, right? It's Kevin Lowe. I mean, he's one of the best personalities, players, defensemen, accomplished championship winners. I can go on and on and on with the list of accomplishments that Kevin Lowe over the course of his life. And that's just like on ice stuff, like everybody who's met him, the relationships he's made. So I got to come from somewhere. It's not going to be funny unless I really, what's the word? There's got to be a level of self-deprecation or preparation before I got to go 5 minutes to 10 minutes to just kind of, and that's what I'm writing now. I don't mind that the chirps aren't the hardest part. It's how am I going to chirp Kevin Lowe? And there's a few other players coming. George Larocque, for example. So like same thing, right? I mean,
everybody gets it though, right? Everybody gets it at that event. Like I've watched some of those celebrity roasts and you know that quite often the roaster will get up there and be like, nice to meet you. Like they don't know them at all.
Yeah.
And then they will absolutely launch into the most vile, brutal diatribe about every corner of their past and every corner of their history. I mean, Alec Baldwin's roast was, oh my goodness, the way they went after him as a dad with his daughter there, his daughter in, like, it's holds. Is it fully no holds barred? Or there's got to be a line somewhere.
I think there's going to be, so yeah, we just got an email. We got a group chat going on pretty soon. So I think there is going to be, I mean, I would think giving the people, they're all grown up, mature, accomplished people. You should know where the line is, kind of thing. But given that, I mean, we're raising money for charity, right?
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
you're only going to go so far. And, there's so many ways to chirp, and there's so many ways to deliver the same joke that I don't see that being a problem. I hope not. But like I said, for me, and you're right, there are people that some of those roasts are scathing, and like Alec Baldwin's huge. But again, the people doing it are like, they're accomplished themselves. I'm not saying I'm not. It's all good. I have confidence in myself. But as a hockey player, I look at that guy. He's on the Mount Rushmore, if Mount Rushmore was a little bigger, but he's on that. He's part of that group. And so it's the mindset and it's the delivery. Like I said, the jokes I have for him are written, but I got to get the crowd on my side and I guess each person's different. Where I'm coming from is a different place than others.
The roast of Kevin Lowe, kind of plugging Gregor's thing here, but it's such a fantastic event and such a fantastic cause. And as we know, Jason Gregor does so much in town for charities benefiting kids sport. Set to go June 9th, 6:30 to 10:30 at the Edmonton Convention Center. So TR will be there. Jason is, of course, the roast master, and an all-star lineup will be taking their best shots. Adult comedy, it's listed as. So that gives you a bit of an idea, TR. You can lean on it a little bit. You can go to kidsportcanada.ca and check that out if you want to take part or head to that event. It should be lots of fun. We are live streaming today, and we wanted to take some questions on YouTube, maybe some questions on Twitter. Zuby, I'm not sure how much action we have because I kind of didn't give people the heads up that we were going to do that. You've done a nice job adjusting on the fly. You got a nice 2-shot of TR and I. You got the right sponsor in there. You've got yourself in there now, Zuby. Like, I'm working you to the bone here this morning, man.
Okay, and I'm going to take advantage of that because I'm going to tell a quick story, a Kevin Lowe story, totally on topic here. One day I'm playing drop-in I think at Collingwood Arena. I can't remember that one over on the west side there. I haven't lived in Edmonton in many, many years. Anyway, I'm playing drop-in. And as I'm leaving, Kevin Lowe is walking out of the building, and he was the GM at the time. And I can't remember what the goaltending situation was, but I said to him, and I had my pad, clearly you could see my goal pads and stuff. And I said to him, hey, I'm still waiting to hear from you about the backup spot or something like that, like that. And
I'm sure that was very original for him.
Yes. And he looked at me. You never know a person talking to you in a parking lot if they're a crazy person or somewhat normal, as I might be, especially goalies. You never know with goalies. Anyway, he kind of smiled at me but didn't say anything. And I thought that was funny. And then I'm putting my gear in the back of my car, and then there's like a big truck or something or a van next to me. And then a couple cars down, this car pulls back and it's him. And he rolls his window down and he says, okay, you could be the backup, but you only make the league minimum and you never get to play. And I said, what's the catch? I said, absolutely. All day I'll take that. So,
that's awesome.
Anyway,
that's
that
awesome.
was my
I got a Kalo story too, actually, TR. I was 16 years old trying out for the Blazers.
Yeah.
And in Kamloops, no chance to make the team. Like, that was one of their Mem Cup years. I was not even in the hemisphere, but I got through rookie camp and I made main camp. And we're skating around, and that's back when Kevin Lowe was not yet at the NHL, at his NHL camp. I think he was with the Rangers then. There was a bit of a delay. Can't remember, a contract issue or something. So we're running drills, one-on-one drill, me on Kevin Lowe. I'm freaking out. My head is down. I'm smashing the thing square with my head down, heading up ice. I cut across to my left in the offensive blue line and fired a backhand from like above the top of the circles. A backhand from above the top of the circles, followed through, busted open his chin.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it went in the net.
No, busted open his chin. Kevin Lowe bleeding, chin in hands bleeding.
What? You mean he wasn't expecting a backhand from the top of the circle?
Yeah, I'm telling you, he didn't give me the respect of a tight gap. I took the space and I made the play we all would have made. And I busted open his chin. So we went and got a bandage put on and everything. I was mortified.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next day he was out there again. Then we were skating around, warming up, and I looked at him. I was kind of beside him, and I said, "You back for more?" And he just kind of laughed at me and whatever. So years later, I was working at CFRN here in Edmonton. And I had met Kevin a bunch of times, but he had no idea who I was, right? That I'd played a little bit in the Western League and stuff. Certainly would have remembered me from that training camp. He had no clue. And Stu McGregor, who was our GM in Kamloops at the time, said to Kevin, like, the three of us were standing there, and Stu goes, "You remember Rish, Kevin?" Kevin's like, "You mean Ryan? Like from CFRN?" And Stu's like, No, Ryan, he was back in Kamloops at training camp. And I said, I pointed to his chin. I'm like, "I think that scar right there, that might be me." And he's like,
Wow.
"Come on." And he remembered it. He remembered it after that. And
Wow,
we had a good laugh.
of course.
So, yeah. So on anytime I see a picture of him, his Hall of Fame, any of that stuff, I always go look for the scar I gave him. I added to that.
What was he doing in Kamloops?
He wasn't skating with the NHL club because there was a contract issue, I think. It would have been like 94, right? That probably would have been the Rangers year. Something like that.
Is he from there?
He has a place in the Okanagan. No, he has a place out the shoe swaps there. So that's why he would have had a place out there and been out there.
I see.
Anyways, Zuby, any action on the stream, or is everybody kind of doing their own thing, getting ready for work? I understand people have jobs, and that's probably what everybody else is doing. But if there are any questions, we can take them.
There are not, but there was a great comment right off the hop of you reading the poems. This guy Jason said, "Waking up with Robert Frost."
Yes.
Robert Frost. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not both, and yet I stood. That's called "The Road Not Taken." It's my favorite Robert Frost poem.
Yes.
But that's not the whole poem.
That's real poetry, though, buddy. That's not some artificially generated garbage, hey?
Sorry I got so worked up.
That's
but
okay, buddy. We have you on because of your passion. It's all good.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. I just see people now, man, and they're so talented, and they can't make a dollar, and to me, it just adds to the confusion of the whole mess. But to each their own. So each time I say that, I remind myself though that there's another side of the coin, right? Some kid may be ADHD or autistic, and that's their tool. Maybe they are, and they can just put it together, but they need that tool. So each time I say something, I got to really think of, I got to think more before I speak out loud so passionately, because for every person, like I said, that's,
maybe being harmed by it. Listen, like I said, man, it's not going anywhere. We're going to need to learn to live with it. But I think, the bounds of human creativity, I don't know, maybe one day that'll be duplicated, but I think your stuff's pretty unique, my friend. What's going on the podcast?
It's, just to finish that, it's ironic because it is human creativity and accomplishment. We did it. I know it's AI, but we created it, right? True. So it's really the epitome of human creativity. All this, so it's a real juxtaposition was a good word. How's
Tales with TR?
What's going on over here?
Yeah,
Tales with TR is going really well. It's hard to pull off in Sudbury because I just don't know. I mean, we get time off, but each day is anywhere between 8 and 15, and you don't really know, and you certainly don't get many breaks, so it's hard to schedule much. But so what I did after we would break, I would get the guests from Shoresy over, and we'd kind of do it that way. So for about a month and a half, and that was interesting, getting to know the people that I hang out with every day, but you just don't ask them these different questions. So I enjoyed that. I got Tessa Bonham coming on pretty soon. That's my
She's
next.
Great. Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah. Tessa's awesome.
Going to be today, but
good stuff, man. And how excited are you for season 2 of Shoresy? When's it actually going to launch? And I know you can't give away much in the way of detail and stuff, but what was the process like in season 2 compared to season 1? Because when you're doing something for the first time, it probably is a little bit different. How excited are you about it?
It was different to shoot because, the first time I'm a Letterkenny fan, so while I was reading the script, I had Letterkenny in my head, and while we were delivering it, because again, until it goes through post-production, you don't really know what it's going to look like. So, because there's all kinds of situations, like we're in there, we're telling stories. I'm not in every scene. We read the scripts, but they get changed, so you don't really know. Yeah. So once I watched season 2, obviously now you get a bit of a context. So when we went back to season 1, then we went back to do season 2 after having one in the bag. It was a lot different. It was more fluent. I found. I mean, I do a little bit of acting, of course, on the side, and that resume is growing. But the other guys, for the most part, hadn't done any acting. And you could really tell now, just from knowing their way around a set, what a call sheet means.
Yeah.
The way the hair and makeup and wardrobe beforehand, and you go in. So when it starts, when the wheel starts moving and everybody's involved and they're on the same level, it's a lot more fluid. And I found this year, for that reason, it was a lot harder to do the scenes without just cracking up, man. It was real. That was
That's
the
awesome.
hardest part. Not absolutely. Like, I think if people like the first season, I think they'll really like season 2. Unless, like, I trust Jared now. I trust him. He's the most creative.
He seems like a dude. He seems like a solid dude, just by virtue of the fact that he doesn't want to do any media to promote his show because he wants all the other people to have a chance to do it instead. I have been chasing that guy for this podcast for years. And I know it's not because he thinks he's too much of a big shot or anything like that. The answer I keep getting back is, let's use his people. He really wants to push his people out there. Like, that's pretty solid.
He legit does that, man. He took himself, and he's not even on social media or anything.
Yeah.
Just had he's got a baby now, or 1-year-old, married, moved to Montreal. Like, he really stays off the grid. He really does. Look, I could go on and on, but Jared was, he was in LA and he was grinding at first, but he started to make a name for himself, and he was offered, it's a personal thing with him, but he was offered some good roles to stay down there, and he always wanted to come back and give back to Canada. It was always about a Canada thing, and he really, really is in touch with his roots, but he's very, 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 very creative. I don't even go that way. Like, usually anyway, he's just creative. I trust him, and every time that's why it's fresh. It's uncomfortable for me at first to go and just trust somebody else's creativity. Everything I've done, I've written my own books. I've tried to, I don't need any help. I want to, and when I got up there and just realized, because I'm telling you, during the first year, I went over to him a couple of times and said, well, maybe you could do this if and then I realized, you know what, I'm just going to shut the F up and let him do whatever he wants to do, because the guy is proven. He's a great guy. He's creative. And like I said, he literally wants us to reap the benefits.
Sounds like a solid dude. Can't wait for season 2. And I think that's September. It's coming out after the summer.
Should be September, and hopefully we'll be
looking forward to
season 3. And little birdie told me, and hopefully that'll be coming soon.
Season 3. Hey, let's see. Let's wait and see. That'd be amazing for you too, my friend.
Who knows? I'm really enjoying it. And like I said, for those out there that now associate me with acting, just again, think of how I've grinded, but it's been
awesome, man.
Great.
You've earned it.
Play a Newfoundlander.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I said before, I feel like I go out now, and it was a little different, Ryan, in my hockey career. I loved playing for the Habs. I loved representing Newfoundland, all of that. But clearly, it went sideways at some point. And I would run into people, and people love Newfoundlanders. Are so nice. They love talking. So we always end up talking hockey or music or something. And now
you can talk acting. You can talk Shoresy. You can talk Hudson and Rex. You can talk Tales of TR and your books and stuff, man. You've built it.
And they're Teddy Hitchcock. They feel like they're in on it with me. It's not like with Montreal. It was like, come on, Terry, what are they doing? Are they going to give you? What are they doing on the power play? When are they going to call you up? And people.
This is all positive, man. This is all positive. This stuff, hey.
This is people were always proud of me, but now they feel like, not everybody.
They're with you on it, for sure.
But they feel like it's part of their journey. Oh, Teddy should do this. What are the boys going to do next, Terry? And it's such a refreshing thing, and it came at the right time with my daughter being 13 now, and so I guess we're a few years into this kind of world, and she's just she's an impressionable, and a lot of kids are, right? You're going to be impressionable if you're 13. You haven't seen the world. And there's just a lot of positivity in her life. And, we're just from being out on the side of the street and people saying, hey, Teddy Hitchcock, in a positive, it's just, it's nice. Some kids don't have that advantage, and I'm lucky to have it. So
right on, buddy. We're proud of you. It's awesome. I can't wait to see it. Thanks for doing this, man. We were on hiatus there for a little bit with you, but hopefully we can check in with you here and there over the next few weeks. And keep an eye out for Tales with TR. You continue to roll those out there as well. Thanks for coming. I feel like this episode, buddy, was a bit of a Seinfeld episode. Do you have any idea what the hell this podcast was about today?
No,
what a mishmash mess.
It's still entertaining. I love coming on with you guys, and I think someone out there I think people will enjoy it. And listen, before you go, I want to say one thing.
Okay.
That's okay. You asked Struds about training in the off season.
Yeah.
I love Evan Bouchard. I think I shouldn't love him. I love the improvements that he made.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think at last year and earlier this year, as opposed to the last part, it was getting that puck on the net. It would get blocked a lot. But if he's got decent foot speed, but coming off that wall, bringing it over into the middle, I think he gets that on net more. So, sometimes it's not an obvious weakness. I'm saying this I think that's his strength. And sometimes you work on your strength. Connor McDavid does it all the time, and he just gets better and better.
Yeah, 100%. And, Bouchard is a guy that really took a step training-wise. He showed up, I think it was at the start of last season. Clearly, he had put in a tremendous amount of work, leaner, faster, picked up another, quarter of a step in his stride. He, to me, is an example of a guy that can make a notable difference by grinding hard in the offseason. And you look at him, man, that guy is pro athlete all day. And it's just part of maturation, right? You don't always expect 19-year-olds to just have all that stuff down, but he's taken that step. Lots of fun today, TR. Thanks, buddy. Much appreciated. Zuby, great job behind the scenes. I'm not going to pay any more for today, but, high fives from the rest of us to you. Great work. Appreciate it, making things work technically. And, hey, thanks for checking out the stream, folks. We'll keep dropping podcasts here in the coming weeks, so stick with us. Thanks to our sponsor, Sherwood Buick GMC, Mr. Dirk, DLR Vinyl Products, and, of course, Weiss Johnson. Have yourselves a great Friday and a great weekend. Talk soon. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.